Hello, have you ever wondered what is the real cost of wholesale electricity? Are we being ripped off? What is the real cost being paid for by the big electricity suppliers and public charging companies? Many of them are owned by oil companies and the legacy car makers. Please stay with me and we'll find out together. Hello friends, I'm Nigel. Hope you can like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below. I've just had a comment from New Zealand that suggested my thumbnail for the next video should say my EV caught fire twice. That's a great idea, except it didn't. Probably get 100,000 views if that was the thumbnail, but I'll just make do with 1,000 to 2,000 views, which I normally get. So I saw this video earlier today which said that an EV costs 18p a mile to charge on average, and the price per mile of petrol car is 15p a mile. So I thought I'd look into this. The presenter said it was ultra fast chargers which often cost 79p a kilowatt hour or more, but saying the cost of petrol per mile is 15p and an EV is 18p a mile is misleading. I could say that someone charging at home on the nighttime rate of 7p a kilowatt hour, they're paying under 2p a mile, and I would be correct. And that's only 1/7 the price of petrol. The reason I don't, because there are other considerations, like not everyone can charge at that rate, but also the people that do sometimes go on longer trips and they'll have to pay a higher rate. I've definitely never paid 79p a kilowatt hour. Having a Tesla, there is no need. I go to the Tesla supercharger, and if ever I've been any distance from a Tesla supercharger, like when I was in Scotland, I went to Charge Place Scotland. Sometimes it was free, sometimes it was 20p, and never more than about 38p. Of course, Tesla superchargers, when you're away from home, they show you exactly where the nearest Tesla supercharger is. It can be done in about 3 EV stops, but I've deliberately shown more Tesla superchargers to give a better balance view of Tesla prices. And we would start at Inverness. Superchargers cost between 36p and 45p. At Perth, between 36 and 45. Abingdon, 44 to 55p. The lower price would often be in the early hours of the morning, and the higher price will often be middle of the day, sort of 4 to 8, something like that. T-Bay, they cost between 40 and 55. Keele, between 50 and 55. Bristol, Lysander Road, they're from 24p up to 38p, and that's a great price. That's a lot cheaper than many people will be paying at home in the daytime rates. You can buy a Tesla in Bristol, and I bet they're selling a lot of them, and people are charging at the discounted rate. That's quite brilliant. Lifton have just had the new chargers installed, and you can charge between 37p and 45p. So anyway, based on my Model 3, which achieves 243 watts per mile, and that's over 20,000 miles on all types and conditions, minus 10 degrees in Aviemore during a blizzard, and the heat of Portugal 30 plus, and doing a lot of road trips at 70 mile an hour on motorways when you can do 70 miles an hour, and in Portugal it was 75 miles an hour, and when you're going a long distance you do want to put your foot down. That's how I achieved the 243 watts per mile. And of course a lot of my trips are quite short, and that doesn't achieve a good watts per mile because the battery is cold, and it's just not worth me preconditioning or heating up the batteries. Obviously I do at superchargers, it would be dumb not to. So the lowest cost per mile charging at Tesla superchargers would be a Bristol 24p kilowatt hour, and that would be under 6p a mile. Yeah, that's 6p, almost a third quoted for the petrol car at 15p a mile. The dearest Tesla supercharger was 55p a kilowatt hour, and that would cost my Tesla Model 3 just under 13.5p a mile. So my friends, if you can't charge at home and you only charge at Tesla, you'll be paying between 13.5p and 6p a mile. But if you are charging at home, the nighttime rate and occasionally charge at Tesla, your cost per mile will be a fraction of the cost of petrol. Yes, I know there are other costs associated with a car, not just petrol and electricity. So my insurance is no dearer than a similar petrol car. Yes, it's more than a basic car, but you have to compare like with like. And my Tesla Model 3 is not equivalent to a basic car. It's a very fast car. I've had no servicing costs in 2 years or repairs. I did have a small dent I had to get repaired at a body shop, and that cost no more than any other car. The car I owned before my Tesla was a £7,000 Audi, about 5 years old. Spent a lifetime avoiding depreciation. The depreciation of a Tesla is no worse than any other car. You can now buy an EV for under £20,000, and in the past it was a big no-no, and the anti-EVers said that EVs were too expensive, but now they're not. Now Tesla superchargers are between 24p and 55p a kilowatt hour, and on our trip from John O'Groats to Land's End, many public chargers owned by the oil companies and legacy car makers are 79p or more a kilowatt hour. So Tesla charging almost half the price of many public chargers, but still managed to make 2 billion worldwide on supercharging. Now, meanwhile, the higher price public charging companies mostly claim to be losing money. I heard someone say that charging at night is being subsidized by other people. It's not. A lot of people can charge at 7p at night, but the wholesale price of electricity is only 6.9p a kilowatt hour. In the early hours of the morning, wind farms are spinning around when not much electricity is being needed. As people sleep, EV drivers are getting great prices, waking up to an EV full of charge, and the electric companies are even making a profit at 7 and 7.5p a kilowatt hour, and it's also using electricity that otherwise might not be used. So public charging companies charging 79p a kilowatt hour buy electric at 6.9p a kilowatt hour. Yes, I know there are other costs to arrive at net profit, the profit that really matters. After all, the gross profit is the cost of selling at 79p, deduct the cost of buying at 6.9p, which is a gross profit margin of 91%. That's a huge number. Yes, it requires equipment to get the electric into the car, payment protocols, etc., etc., and the cost of software needs to be great, and there needs to be often upgraded electricity supply. But 91%, wow. The payment protocols need to be excellent, but it often lets a lot of public charging companies down when they don't work or won't receive payment. Now, Tesla talk of themselves not as a car company, but more of a software company. And the Tesla supercharger is quite excellent. It knows who every Tesla is, and you don't need a card because they're registered. So you just plug in and charge. Better than any other system, and no other public charger has achieved that. And I think only then, when a company does that, then they'll start to compete with Tesla, but they'll probably be very greedy and charge us 79%. Maybe I'm just a cynic. But some public charging has been disgraceful, flapping around with apps, not able to put electricity into your EV. And I've sadly seen many of these people, often with new cars, not Teslas, just trying to get a charge into their car when they've been charging close to where I've been charging my Tesla supercharger. I've tried to help them, but I haven't been able to.
These are terrible.
Yes, I know that the machines that put the electricity into the car have to be maintained, but they're not 24 hours, unlike a gas station that needs people taking payment all the time. I worked in the sector and know that the gross profit margin in petrol and diesel for the forecourt owner is under 5%, when the oil companies are making billions and the UK government take over 20 billion a year just from fuel revenue. Remember, we said the electricity is 91% gross profit margin, and the gas station has to pay people, often 24 hours a day, and the public charging does not. The petrol forecourt make money in the shops with inflated retail prices on everything. Tesla superchargers charge much less than the 79p a kilowatt hour by many public chargers. And they're owned by oil companies and legacy car makers. It's almost as if they're trying to put you off buying an EV. Could that be so?
Yes, it's really nice.
Tesla started the supercharger network initially in America so it could sell more electric cars. Originally, it wasn't intended to make a profit, but some people still believe this is true. Tesla actually don't show the profit they make from their supercharging in their balance sheets. Why let the opposition know just how much you really are making? So they hide it with other parts of their business. US analysts believe it to be around $2 billion a year profit from superchargers worldwide. Not bad for something that was only meant to be something to help you sell more electric cars. The software for their EV charging is the best, and like the cars, something that other competitors are trying to catch up. They're trying to catch up on the cars, the quality of the software and how the car drives. Some people would say build quality is not very good. I'm more than happy with mine. I think some of the earlier ones weren't too great, but also the software in the supercharger is brilliant. So when you arrive at the Tesla supercharger in your Tesla, the supercharger knows who you are, and so there's no authorization needed for payment, and all you have to do is plug in your car. Tesla will then bill your card after you complete your charge. Many EV charge networks think they're doing well, but Tesla are so far ahead of them. You don't even have to present your bank card. So Tesla superchargers are very complex, and new installations often need grid upgrades as they draw large amounts of power. The power modules convert the AC power from the grid into DC power for charging EVs and the energy efficiency of the power output. Now, cooling systems are essential to manage the heat generated and maximize efficiency. A power management system regulates safe power flow based on EV's battery capacity and state of charge. The Tesla software knows what car it is before arriving at the supercharger, and the driver knows what superchargers are in the area, how many are available, and the car automatically starts preconditioning the battery so it can charge at maximum efficiency. A sign will come up on the screen. Now, all public charging networks are years behind Tesla with the software. Exeter Services has 32 connectors, and you can even charge your trailer caravan without disconnecting. And it's economy of scale. Obviously, putting in 32 superchargers, cost per unit is cheaper than putting in 1 or 2 that some oil companies prefer to do. So what do you think? Are we being ripped off by public charging companies? Many are selling at 79p a kilowatt hour and buying in at 6.9p a kilowatt hour. Yes, there are other costs. I accept that. There's quite a lot to do with power supplies, software, certain amount of maintenance, often upgrading the grid. There's a fair bit to do, but you've got a 91% margin here between 7.9p and 79p. I think they're ripping us off. Tesla are charging a much better price. There are some exceptional prices in Bristol, but on average it's between 40 and 50p, which seems reasonable. But of course, people at home are charging between 7p and 30p, and that's a price way cheaper than running a petrol car. So please tell me what you think, and it's a fascinating subject. The last video had lots and lots of great comments, lots of facts and information. I've only touched upon this, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, yeah, there's a big difference between a gross profit and a net profit. I accept that. But there is a huge margin here to play with, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you can like and subscribe. Drive safely, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.